Welcome back to Jake and Kyle's Spooky Good Time. We're your hosts. This is...
Kyle, I can't hear you with the mask on, bro.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Thanks for listening to our show. Should I do that again?
No, I like it.
You're listening to Jake and Kyle's Spooky Good Time. We're your hosts.
I'm Jake.
Kyle, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about a wonderful documentary that you recommended to me that came out 12 years ago now. The American Scream.
Shall I read
Give us a synopsis,
a little
bud.
synopsis?
Give us the synopsis, bud.
Per our friends at IMDb, eventually they'll be our friends. They start returning our calls. Per IMDb, in a small Massachusetts community, 3 Halloween-obsessed households transform into neighbor-terrifying supernatural wonderlands.
Lovely. Well put.
This is directed by Michael Paul Stevenson.
Yes, and some love to the 3 Halloween-obsessed households who are the masterminds behind these house haunts that this documentary covers.
There's Victor Barreto, there's Manny Souza, and there's Matthew Broder and his father, Mr. Broder.
Very nice. Very nice. And tell me, Kyle, what drink did you make for us today on this fine October evening?
This is hot mulled cider, non-alcoholic cider for our international listeners. And basically you can take filtered or unfiltered cider. We added orange, ginger, nutmeg, star anise, cloves, cinnamon, and just heated it up on the stove.
That's
it. And just adjust to your liking.
That's really good. This is really good. I like this. You really get the spices coming through. It's so sweet. I love it.
It tastes like fall.
It does. It smells like fall.
Can you imagine some people add sugar to this?
I know. What the fuck is wrong with that? Oh my god. It's very sweet. I think it's because it's heated too. So, usually sorry, that's good. Usually, I like cider cold, usually. I know.
Meanwhile,
I'm
it's
a psycho.
Still in the 80s
I know,
in Southern California.
Yeah.
I can feel the sweat, the perspiration on my... But we believe in authenticity here.
Yes, we do.
So if the recipe says hot and we say it's hot, we're going to be drinking it hot.
Yeah.
Even if it'll make us miserable.
It's like midnight here in Southern California, and it's 80-something fucking degrees outside still.
Yeah.
So, welcome to SoCal. The people who think Southern California has perfect weather and make all the jokes, no idea how many times I hear those jokes where people I come across from the East Coast. I know you're from the East Coast. Don't get me wrong, the winters are cold there. I know they're cold there. Our winters are nothing compared to yours. I get it. But it's hot as fuck here. It's really hot as fuck here.
Yes.
No one knows it. Everyone thinks the ideal temperature weather scenario that people associate with Southern California is only at the fucking beach, which is like 0.1% of our state.
I was going to say, people imagine San Diego.
Yes, they imagine San Diego, imagine Long Beach. Something like that. Even Long Beach gets kind of warm. Malibu, shit like that. They imagine places like that where the weather's perfect and it gets between 68 and 72 degrees every single day.
I have to say, as a transplant from the Northeast, I miss the fall there.
Yeah.
I miss the smell of the autumn leaves and the cool breeze and all of that.
Yeah, you're making me jealous, bud.
Well, someday you'll have to go. We'll have to do a road trip show in Salem.
Yeah, seriously, we do. We have to.
Yeah.
We should, totally random, but we should visit the Conjuring house one day.
There you go.
Eventually, you know, wink, wink. Eventually, we're gonna have to, make our segue into the ghost hunting business at some point.
Yes.
That's an idea I'm throwing out
A
there.
very lucrative ghost hunting
A
business.
very, very lucrative ghost hunting
Yes.
business.
So, this documentary,
Yes.
it follows these three families.
Yes, it does.
They decorate their homes. They have yard haunts. Two of them have yard haunts. One of them has an actual maze that they build in their driveway. This takes place in Fairhaven, Massachusetts.
Perfect spot. Perfect spot for a home haunt, right?
And, one thing that this is a sort of a comfort film for me. I've seen it many times over the years. To me, home haunts are a form of American folk art. It's this unique expression of American culture and creativity, and I love that it. Outsider art, like Grandma Moses and the painter Rousseau. These self-taught artists. There's something really endearing about that. Seeing what somebody has come up with, just totally out of a need to get their creativity out there, and not worrying about being a studied artist, just has learned on their own and developed a unique vision. And I think that home haunting, in its most creative form, encapsulates that tradition.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right. And I think there's a great quote from this documentary. There's a nice comment that Victor's wife in the documentary makes about him. She says some people, like some men, some dads and husbands like fishing. Some of them like outdoorsy activities. But he likes home haunts. He likes Halloween. That's his thing. That's how she puts it. And it's like, yeah, is it a little weird? Sure. But, we love him. And he gets the kids involved and everything. So it's really heartwarming to see how this one man and his passion for Halloween home haunts and this perfectionistic attitude, very artistic attitude and sentiment that he brings to the home hunt is really inspiring.
I love the creativity. And
Absolutely.
Not just him.
Everybody. But there's something so interesting about him. I connected with him the most personally. And maybe it's because he had a sort of drive in him to create something that would be remembered and that people would be able to look back. And I think another person in the documentary had similar impulses for similar reasons, and said they might not remember me, they might not remember my name, but they're sure going to remember how I made them feel on Halloween night, which I think is great, a great way to look at it. And it's hard not to look at these dudes and just think that they're total artists. They're creatives, and they want to inspire others, and they want to instill a deep emotion and give people a unique emotional experience.
Yeah. I'm drenched in sweat. This hot mulled cider. Recommend drinking that in the AC if you're in Southern California, like us.
This tastes so good.
There's a couple scenes in the film where Victor is talking with his daughter, and she's designing a room for him.
Yeah.
And I just love the creativity of thinking about, where's the monster going to come out from, and what's the theme of the room going to be. Mm-hmm. And it makes me think back to when I was a kid. We didn't have any home haunts in our neighborhood, but there was at least one house that was known as the Halloween house, where they had a wraparound porch, and they filled that thing to the gills. They filled the house to the gills with props. And this was in the in the late 90s, so it was even harder to come by a lot of this stuff than it is today. I don't recall, Home Depot didn't sell animatronics and stuff like that when I was a kid that I remember. At least nothing to the scale that they do now.
Yeah, nothing to the scale they do now.
It really took dedication.
Definitely.
And I remember also when I was in middle school, I would go on this internet forum where people would share their designs for Halloween props. And I would read up about all the designs that they created, different illusions, things like the bottomless pit illusion, and or like a Pepper's Ghost or something like that. And I love seeing that in this documentary. I could see a couple things where I was like, I know that design is something that circulated in that home haunt community in the late 90s, early aughts.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I grew up in Southern California, so I was very spoiled with all the haunts that were around. I went to Knott's Scary Farm for the first time when I was like 10 years old. But there's my earliest memory of a home haunt is the Exorcist house, is what we called it in the neighborhood. We called it the Exorcist house. And the reason why we called it that is because even though there was a family in our neighborhood who, even though they would get a bunch of other horror icons as well that they would showcase, all the people of the family would dress up as different horror icons. But the reason why we called it the Exorcist house is because the first year I ever experienced it, the woman who lived there, it was her and her husband, I believe, who did the whole thing with like their friends and maybe some family members or something like that. But the woman would dress up like Regan.
Oh, wow.
With full demon-possessed makeup, and she looked good. Like exactly like Regan from the movie.
Wow.
And she would talk in the voice when you came up to get candy from her.
Wow.
She would talk in the demon voice and
That's
everything.
intense.
Yeah, it was very intense. This is my first experience with a home haunt.
How old were you?
I don't even remember. It was definitely before 10 years old, because 10 was when I went to Knott's for the first time, but this is way before that.
Wow.
So I must have been like 6 or 7 when I first experienced this.
Were you excited? Did you like that?
I was so nervous, but I wanted to go up because even at that young of an age, that spooky stuff interested me, and I didn't want to be a bitch in front of the rest of my friends or family, right? So I made my mom walk up with me, but I went up there and I got that candy from her, but she would look at me with fucking creepy ass contact lenses in her eyes and everything.
My God.
And she spoke in the voice, and like stuff like that, and but she did it way better than I can. I don't even know how you do the Reagan demon possessed voice, but she did it really well. Wow. And she would be handing out candy sometimes, and then other times they had a bed, just like in the movie, out on their front lawn and a strobe light going off, and she would start seizing and doing crazy ass shit like that. Wow. On their front lawn on Halloween night. And
that's so cool.
Their family and friends, whoever they are, would dress up as Leatherface, Freddy, Jason, and chase people around the front lawn and even down the street.
That's so cool.
It was pretty awesome. So that's my first memory of a home haunt. I'll never forget it.
I actually made a home haunt.
You did?
With my younger brother.
Amazing. Tell us about this.
The one I got lost in the woods with.
The one that you said he could eat you if it came to that. And you also did a home haunt with him. Tell us about this.
On the East Coast, we have basements. A little more unusual.
What are those?
A little more unusual here.
A basement?
Which I learned from watching Zodiac.
Yes. Not many basements in California, are there?
When I was a kid. I think the first year it was just, I was probably 7 and hung a little rubber bat up from the ceiling, and then told my parents to come down to look at the haunted house.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's where it started. But by the time we finished, we had bed sheets sectioning off walls. We actually had a proper maze. We had a tunnel you would crawl through, and we had one of my brother's friends would lie down on a table, and we cut a hole in the table for him to put his leg through. And we had a fake leg, so it looked like his leg got cut off.
That's awesome.
Some kid from the neighborhood came, and he couldn't get past the first room. He left crying, and it felt great.
It felt great to leave have that kid run out crying his eyes out.
That was my first taste with home haunting.
Nice. I made one home haunt with my cousins not that long ago. It might have been 2020 or 2021 we did it. And we just did it for a small party we were holding for friends and family. And we did it in a family friend's backyard. We set up everything. It was looking good. And the night before the Halloween party, there was 75-mile-per-hour winds.
Oh, wow.
That ruined everything in the backyard. Show up the day of, everything's ruined. Had to redo everything. I came up just with the idea. I said, we don't have a lot of set pieces. All the set pieces are either falling apart or getting messed up. So how about, and also it's kind of dark in the little maze. So how about we just put the little set pieces on the outside towards the entrance and the exit so that you get the vibe coming in and going out. And how about on the inside, we just put a lot of smoke, a lot of fog for the fog machine. And I just came up with the idea of creating false patterns in the maze to make people think they're supposed to go somewhere. And then they end up walking straight into a scare and then have to go under something else. And so we just pretty much built that whole haunt with black plastic trash bags. And people actually got scared. People at the party got scared. It was all adults going through it. And we still startled the shit out of them. And it was because we had a lot of limitations. And
limitations breed ingenuity.
Exactly. And so we created a very weirdly shaped maze that wasn't very long. It would probably take you 20, 30 seconds to get through it at the most. But it would take people longer because they would actually get lost just the way I made the layout. It's hard to find your way through it, especially with all the fog in your face. So you end up walking straight into another scare right when you think you're going in the right direction. So yeah.
This film says a lot about what it's like to be an artist.
I agree.
There's this drive to create. There's a drive to share your work and your vision. The frustrations you get when you're not able to achieve what you want to.
Absolutely.
The need to adapt. And aspirations for something bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I find so inspiring about this documentary, is even though it might seem like such a small scale home haunt environment, might seem so unimportant or insignificant at first glance. But the great thing about it is you look at all the work that goes into it, all the dedication that goes into it, and my personal favorite part is how beautiful it is that all their loved ones come together to help them and support them because they know it's something they really care about. And I think there's even a point where one of the guys, I don't know if it's Manny or something like that, but he's struggling to get things done, and he talks about how everybody just came to help him.
That was Manny because of his health problems.
Yeah, because of his health problems, he was struggling to get things done, and how all these people just out of nowhere just came to come help him with his home haunt. And man, he just starts crying, and like the waterworks come out, and it's just really beautiful and very inspiring to see people come together to help someone. It's very beautiful, very lovely to see these people come together and create something so beautiful out of so little, and mainly getting it done through the support of their own family and their own friends.
It's an embrace of the Halloween spirit
It
as
is.
opposed to the Christmas spirit.
It is. And
The
this is why I
spirit
love
of
Halloween.
community as
Yes.
opposed to family, which is that's something that Victor talks about in the documentary.
Yeah.
What do you think makes Halloween magical?
It's one of the only holidays, would be the other one, where we hold on to such a rich cultural history and rich cultural practices. I mean, it might sound funny to call trick-or-treating a rich cultural practice as if, like, it's some amazing tradition or some amazing ritual that's done. But it really is, even though it's so silly. And you could say it's all a ploy from the candy corporations to sell more candy. And if it is, all right. But at least it gets people to go out there, be very creative during this time of year. Not just with the home haunts, but people get to be creative themselves with their costumes. I really appreciate my mom, who, when I was younger, we didn't always have a lot of money. But damn would she make sure that I had a good fucking costume every year. So I just think it's beautiful, and that's where the magic comes from.
I love the way that Halloween transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary through dressing up, through going to these houses that now have tombstones out front. I think that's something that makes it magical for me.
My family was interesting growing up. I grew in two separate households with my parents because they were never married, which is not easy. But on Halloween, it's fucking awesome because it means you get double the candy because you have two parents who both want to take you trick-or-treating two different separate times. So I got double the candy every single Halloween just because of that. And I would go to all the best neighborhoods because when you have two parents that are sharing custody of a child and have never been married to one another, they like to compete against one another to take you to the best fucking neighborhoods with the best candy. So it was awesome. It was good, healthy competition between my parents to get me the best candy load every single year. So yeah. I like that. That's one of my favorite memories, which is probably not relevant to everybody out there, but just the massive amounts of candy I would have was awesome. I would have candy for the rest of the year pretty much.
What was some of your favorite candy?
My favorite, I'm a plain Jane, a vanilla boy. And what I mean by that is I like the basics. I love my peanut M&Ms. I love my Snickers. I love my Three Musketeer bars. I remember those Take Fives. I love Take Fives. Reese's peanut butter cup. Anything with like nuts and chocolate was my favorite. I liked nougat too, so that's why Three Musketeers and Snickers as well. Some caramel, some nuts and chocolate. Can't go wrong with that. What about you?
Almond Joy. I liked Almond Joy.
Almond Joy.
I feel like people hate that for something. I don't know.
I like Almond Joys.
It's got almonds in it. It's got
Coconut.
I don't know what's not to like.
A lot of people don't like coconut, I find.
Maybe that's it.
A bunch of fucking weirdos. You don't like coconut? Like what?
I like Reese's too.
Yeah, Reese's are some of the best. I like anything with nuts and chocolate.
I was always excited to go to the big homes that handed out the full-size chocolate bars.
Yes. Same here. We went to the rich neighborhood. We drove a city over to the rich neighborhood where they handed out full-size candy bars. And,
that was always exciting.
Yeah, that was always exciting.
And sometimes I would get a soda.
Damn, you got a soda?
Yeah.
I never got a soda.
I actually saved one that I got for years. I don't know why. You know what? It was like RC Cola or something random that
the best one.
Nobody
Just kidding.
Nobody drinks that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is special. I'm gonna hold on to this. I had it for like 5 years.
Oh my god. What'd you do with it?
I think I might have opened it and poured it in a cup and it was like totally flat.
I love Halloween. I've got lots of great Halloween memories. I hope all the kids out there are making wonderful new Halloween memories each and every year. because they got to make them now. I'm almost 29 years old. It's getting weird if I show up to my neighbors' doors with a pillowcase asking for free candy. People get a little weirded out by that now. So kids, you got to keep it alive. I can't do it anymore. They're not okay with it. They called the cops on me last time I showed up there.
Well, you got to at least show up on Halloween.
Maybe that was the problem. Maybe that was the problem. But kids out there, have a happy Halloween this year, 2024. Thank you for joining us on Jake and Kyle's Spooky Good Time. I'm Jake.
Kyle.
And we will see you in the next video. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Bye. Say bye to Gordy.